Hi everybody, welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to be talking about sweet peas. It's now getting towards the end of September, and the reason that I'm starting to look at sweet peas this week is because the weather is starting to change. It's feeling more autumny. When I've been walking to school with Erin this week, it has been colder. It was 5 degrees one morning, and there was a time when I almost felt like I could be wearing a pair of gloves to school. I'm also having to wait to cut the flowers for arrangements because the dew on them from the cold in the morning has to dry off, so there's a sign there that the season's changing. And also in the evenings, the nights are drawing in. It's starting to get dark before 8 o'clock at night now, and a big sign that we're getting into autumn in our house is that the Great British Bake Off and Strictly Come Dancing have started again. So when we get to that stage, I know it's time to start thinking about sweet peas. So what I'll do is I will sow a batch of sweet peas now in the autumn, which is late September, early October time, and I'll do some more in January. And if I can get these autumn sown ones through the winter, I should be able to get sweet peas with longer stems and earlier flowers towards the end of May next year. The ones that I sow in January will not be as sturdy plants. They'll produce lots of flowers, but maybe on slightly shorter stems, and will be more towards June that I would expect to see some flowers there. So it's definitely worth having a shot. Obviously depends on the kind of winter we're going to get. Nobody knows at this stage whether it's going to be a really harsh winter and we'll lose the sweet peas, but the benefits of those larger plants means that it's worth having a go. And sweet peas generally don't mind the cold at all. In fact, they don't like to be cuddled. They don't like to have a warm atmosphere to grow in because they get very leggy, and that's not the kind of plant we're trying to produce. So even a bit of frost might nip the tips of the sweet pea plants over the winter, but actually that's just natural pinching out and will create a bushier plant in the end of the day. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to soak my sweet pea seeds in water overnight just to soften that seed coat. And there's a bit of a mixed opinion on whether or not you really need to do this, but just from trial and error of my own sowing, I find that I get better germination if I do soften the seed coat. And all I do is I fill up little ramekins that I have from the kitchen with a little bit of water. You don't need much, just enough to cover the seeds. And then I will pop a few seeds into each one. And I'm not going to leave them in the cold greenhouse here overnight just because the temperatures are starting to dip. So I'll just take them into the kitchen and leave them in there on the windowsill. And then tomorrow I'll come back in the greenhouse and plant them. So I'll pop a few in there like that. I get my sweet pea seeds from all sorts of places. There's some really good companies in the UK that sell sweet pea seeds. So we've got Johnson's Sweet Peas, Roger Parsons Sweet Peas, Owl Acre Seeds, and there's all the other companies as well, like Chiltern Seeds, Sarah Raven, Moles, Cedarholic as well do sweet peas. So you can get them from a whole variety of different places. So just choose your favourites and have a go at sowing some just now in the autumn if you would like some earlier flowers next year. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll pop them up and we'll wait and see how long it takes them to germinate at this time. I've started mine this year in late September because the weather is starting to change, but it's not that cold overnight yet, so I'm hoping that I'll get germination without needing any extra bottom heat through the pots to get them going. If you started them in Scotland in October time, I think the weather would be chilling down quite a bit by then, and you probably might need to have some heat underneath just to get them going. But the most important thing to do is if you do use bottom heat to germinate your sweet peas, as soon as they've germinated, get them off that heat so that they don't get too leggy. You need to get them into the cold greenhouse where they will grow on quite happily there and into nice bushy plants, not ones that are all leggy and reaching for the sky. So we'll come back tomorrow and we'll get these sweet peas sown up. So we're back again today, and I have soaked my sweet pea seeds overnight, so they're looking nice and large with soft seed coats on them, so hopefully will germinate really well. And I have written up my plant labels with the date and the type of sweet pea seed on them so that I know which is which. And I've got my seed trays prepared here, so just like sowing my hardy annual seeds that we did a few weeks ago, I have put in my seed cutting compost and already given it a good soaking. So my damp compost is all ready now for me to sow these sweet pea seeds on. So I've got these ones here, which is Royal Family White, and I'm just going to pop these onto my seed compost here, spacing them out so that they've got room to germinate. They're quite large seeds, so they're easy to work with. So there we go, those ones are in there. And I'm just gonna pop in a plant label for those. And I can share the seed tray because I hadn't got very many of that variety left. So at the other end of the seed tray, I'm going to put a different variety, but I'm going to label them and have a space in between so that I know which is which once they come up. So I'll just put those ones in there. And I'll put those labels in. Now with the sweet pea seeds, you can put a layer of vermiculite over the top or a layer of your seed cutting compost. They can be buried to about a depth of 1/4 of an inch, and they will germinate away fine for you with that layer on top of them. Just going to press that down lightly there. So that's the sweet pea seeds in there with their layer of vermiculite over the top, and you can see that there's a bare area in the middle which is just to separate out, so I know there's no sweet pea seeds growing in there, and I've split it so that I can clearly see where the different two varieties are in the seed tray. So that's helpful if you are growing more than one variety of seeds within the same tray. So sweet peas have long root systems and they need quite a deep pot to grow down into. So as soon as they've germinated in these sweet pea trays, I'm going to be getting them out and putting them into bigger pots. And I'm going to skip the stage of putting them into these little 2-inch pots because they don't have very much depth to them, and the sweet peas would grow out of those in no time at all. So I'm going to put them into slightly deeper pots like these, and then into deeper pots still as they get bigger over the winter time, just so that they have got a good depth for those root systems to develop into, and that will make a much happier plant than if they were crowded and getting pot bound in a smaller one. The reason that I haven't started the sweet peas off today directly into the pots is because I think that they possibly might need a little bit of bottom heat to get them started, and so I can put my seed tray on the heated propagating bench if I need to. I'll watch and see in the next couple of days if I see anything happening on its own, and if not, I will pop it across onto the heated mat. But as soon as they have showed themselves in the seed tray, they've germinated, I will be getting them out into these pots to develop on and not get root bound in these trays. And you can pop them directly into pots and sow them in there, and that will mean that you can skip the stage of having to transplant them into here. So if you've got nice warmth in the air still where you're living and it hasn't turned autumny, then yeah, have a shot at that and see if you can get them germinating directly. I would be aiming for 2 to 3 seeds per pot so they can grow in there as a nice group together, and then you can just plant them out in the garden as a little group of 2 to 3 sweet peas per cane when you do plant them out. The other thing I was hoping to show you today was some sweet peas that you can collect from seed from your own garden, but my sweet peas are still flowering actually, and they haven't produced mature seed pods yet, so we're a little bit away from showing you that. But if we get to the stage where I have some good ones when we're potting these ones on, I'll show you that as well, because you might want to collect some of the seed from your own garden too. Sweet peas really don't take very long to germinate at all. I should start to see some little plants coming up in just a few days to a week, maybe 2 weeks at most. So we'll be able to come back and do a video very soon, hopefully, showing you them coming up and how to put them on and get them ready for winter. If you're interested in finding out a bit more about growing sweet peas in the meantime, while you wait for that, if you have a look on my playlist, there is a whole section on growing sweet peas there. I did quite a few videos on this earlier in the year. So if you have a look there, they're easy to find and all grouped together, and you can have a watch of those, because the same things apply no matter what time of year you're growing them. You can see how to get them going right through from the sowing stage to planting them out and things, and that'll give you a good idea there.